What's up guys, my name is Dean, aka the Blue Crusader, and welcome back to the channel. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars, and one great thing about the franchise has always been the Star Wars games. Originally with EA having full reins on the Star Wars video game market, I was skeptical of what was to come, but after playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from the start to the finish, I felt it necessary to give my personal honest opinion and review on the game. A little warning, if you still haven't completed the game's story, this review will contain possible spoilers for the in-game narrative. However, if you don't own the game and you want to watch it from start to finish, you can also check out my gameplay walkthrough series on my channel. So it took me around 16 to 17 hours of gameplay to completely finish this game. This was with taking the story at a steady pace and inspecting each and every object and basically reading all of the journal and the lore entries within the game. That's a decent level of gameplay for what you're paying for, and although I felt I wanted to reach the end more due to making a walkthrough series on the game on my channel, I was a little bit sad to reach the end of the game. The first thing I want to talk about is the story of the game. The game has a diverse collection of characters that are extremely well written. The story starts with the protagonist, Cal Kestis, a young Jedi Padawan survivor of the Great Jedi Purge Order 66, who's trying to lay low on the planet Bracca as a scrapper of spaceships belonging to the Scrapping Guild. His whole low-key plan of staying off the radar is pretty much foiled when he uses the Force to save his friend from falling to his demise, causing his presence in the Force to be known by the Empire, more importantly, the Inquisitors of the Inquisitors, who find out about Cal being a Jedi and hunt him throughout the game. At this point we enter the Second Sister and the Ninth Sister, two Sith Inquisitors of the Empire. Cal escapes, being saved by Sia, an ex-Jedi, and her captain Grease, who coerce Cal into a plan of retrieving a Jedi Holocron containing data on the remaining Force-sensitive children in the galaxy, in a bid to rebuild the Jedi Order once again. Sia is closed off and we learn her story progressively, whereas Grease is a hired pilot but is a lovable alien with a New York accent who warms up to everyone nearing the end of the game. Throughout the game, you're hunted by the Inquisitorious on the various planets that you visit. You're accompanied by a little droid called BD-1 who has been graced with the Disney droid effect that we're used to in the new movies, using sounds and robotic actions to convey emotion just like a human. This little guy shows holograms of a previous Jedi Master called Eno Cordova, who guides Cal through various tombs of an ancient order called the Zepho on various planets, one being of the same name, to find clues to unlock the main tomb to retrieve this Jedi Holocron. You go to the planets such as Kashyyyk, home of the Wookiees, where we see Tarful and Rebel Saw Gerrera, which we've seen from Star Wars Rebels, and also to Dathomir, which is the home of Darth Maul and the Night Sisters, who are featured in Star Wars Clone Wars, where you find and fight a disillusioned Jedi turn to the dark side and gain a new ally in a Night Sister who helps you find the final key to the Holocron tomb. On Kashyyyk, we're tailed by the Ninth Sister who is struck out of the sky in her ship by a giant bird which you help to fly again. There's an awesome scene where you fly this bird in a style super similar to the movie Neverending Story where they ride on the dog. I can't be the only one who saw this. You then battle the Ninth Sister, who's allegedly one of the most powerful Inquisitors in the lore, and it's an awesome fight, but Cal pretty much dispatches of her pretty easily. After this, there's of course when you finally open said tomb to retrieve the Holocron. The Second Sister, who was revealed as being called Trilla earlier in the story, the captured Jedi apprentice of Sia, ambushes you and steals the Holocron. This is where we see an echo of her past, showing her capture and manipulation into turning her to the dark side as an Inquisitor. During this time, she escapes to the final planet where the so-called Fortress Inquisitorious is, giving fans of Star Wars Rebels, where we first saw the Inquisitors, insight into where they're trained and made. It's pretty awesome. It's basically a water planet with a cool sub-base in. After battling through the zone, you find the Holocron, but are yet again ambushed by the Second Sister Trilla, who fights you for it. After her defeat at your hands, she is confronted by Sia, who apologizes for letting her be captured and turn to the dark side, and it seems like she could see a redemption arc to turn to the light. light. However, this is where the unexpected happens. Perhaps one of the most coolest moments in the whole game, she gets force choked by Darth Vader himself, showing just how much more powerful than literally everyone Vader is. You have to run away from Vader and escape the planet, and one of the coolest little parts is when the droid BD-1 hops onto Vader's suit and electrocutes his suit, temporarily weakening him just like how Darth Sidious does with Force Lightning, and then the characters escape by blowing a hole to let in the water into the sub-base. This basically causes Vader to block the water with the Force to prevent damage to himself and his suit, and this allows the main protagonist to escape. On the ship, they decide to let the fate of the Force-sensitive younglings fall to the hands of the Force, and they decide to destroy the Holocron. The cutscenes are really immersive and very well done. The acting is also near professional grade in the game due to the utilization of actual real actors using motion capture to record their real acting scenes for the game. This is because the models of the main characters in the game are actually based off the faces of most of the real actors performing them. One thing I noticed though is the mouth movement in at least 50% of the game was inconsistent and entirely out of sync, but other than that, the cutscenes were always a pleasure to listen to and watch. The combat system in the game was pretty complex and hard to get used to as a beginner at the start of the game for me, perhaps due to a lack of experience in similar style fighting games, having only played Arkham City and basically no other titles with this type of combat in them. Some of the enemies at the very start of the game were immensely hard to tackle, which was a big block for me as a beginner, although many of them were skippable fortunately. Some of these included one large creature on the first planet which was in a pit. It looked very much like the Rancor from Return of the Jedi, and it was basically unkillable for me, but I managed to dodge it after some 10 or 15 minutes of stressed gameplay. The game seemed to get easier the further I got towards the end, partially due to the building power and the force Cal gets. The game was easier to tackle. This makes it more realistic, but it makes kind of getting into the game a little bit harder from the beginning. There's a blocking system and evasion system to dodge so-called red attacks, which are indicators for unblockable attacks in the game, which are powerful strikes that need to be dodged by the player. The skill tree system in the game was feature-rich and diverse, offering countless new force abilities and powers to unlock with the skill points earned in the game through advancing and completing levels. These powers were good counters for certain enemies and were unlocked progressively. Unfortunately, I didn't unlock every single power by the end, but I'd unlocked the majority of the skill tree and was completing the end game content with ease at this point as I became more powerful. That is obviously until Vader emerged, showing just how weak Cal was in comparison. The majority of powers on the skill trees were lightsaber skills rather than force powers, with a lot of key fundamental force abilities being unlocked via accessing remnants and visions of the past, which are known as force echoes, that Cal can tap into in the game through the Force to learn abilities he once knew before being severed from it. These abilities allow for shortcuts and moving through areas faster, such as when you unlock wall running, unlocking new routes when you return to the same planets in the story later, or force push, which allows you to break open new doors and paths. These paths are shown on the holo map, which is accessed via your droid, which gives you an indication on where to go, and routes highlighted as green and red depend on what abilities you have, which let you know if you can actually go through them. An awesome thing in the game is crafting your lightsaber. Through finding secret chests and containers in the game, you can unlock different lightsaber parts and pieces, colours and more that just let you use customization workshops which are around the game to customize how your saber looks. On Kashyyyk, you unlock an upgrade to turn your lightsaber into a double-sided one, opening possibility for new moves by splitting it into two to do a chop down move that works super well on scout troopers, or by using each mode for certain situations, such as crowd control or easier blaster deflection via the double-sided lightsaber. I would recommend Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order to anyone who wants a great story-driven game with immersive combat. It's a linear experience, but that's just what gives it such a charm, and I'm definitely not surprised with the quality of the game since it's developed by Respawn, who are the creators of Apex Legends, my favourite multiplayer game right now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy Star Wars videos as well as other awesome gaming and top 10 style videos, check out the channel for more and support the channel by liking this video and subscribing so you don't miss out on more awesome daily videos. Drop a comment below letting me know what you thought about the game, and I'll see you next time.
That doesn't look good.
It isn't. It's him.
You have failed me, Inquisitor.
Avenge us!